Welcome, and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. During the question and answer session, please press *1 on your touch-tone phone. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. And now I'll turn today's meeting over to John Dorn. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you, operator. Hello, Verizon Green Team members. My name is John Dorn, and I work in the Verizon Sustainability Group. Welcome to our second Greenback session for March. I'd like to welcome all the new Green Team members attending their first Greenback session today. I'd like to thank you for the updates you've been sending to us and helping us spread the word. Verizon Green Team continues to grow. We just passed our 17,000th Green Team member around the globe. We continue to see many new green ideas and impressive green efforts by many members on the team around the world. We're on target to meet our next goal of 20,000 Green Team members by 2017. Today's Greenback session is about water. It's a very popular topic, and we received many questions about it, and are glad to have Sony, Vandutia, and also Veronica Bletti with us today to share the latest information on the event. This Greenback session is on a webinar. If you have not joined the session already, please see the links in the reminder email that was sent out from the Verizon Green Team last night. In addition, there is also a link to the presentation that you'll see today in the reminder note as well. There are three different sections of the call today. The first section is the Water is Wise presentation. We have an internal speaker, which is Sony, and she's Verizon Sustainability Lead for Water. We also have Veronica, who's the Program Manager for the WaterSense program from the EPA. After the presentation, we'll go to a question and answer session, and finally we'll discuss the call wrap-up. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Sony to start the presentation.
Thanks, John. My name is Sony Vandutia, and I'm on the Corporate Sustainability team, and I am currently leading the Water Efficiency Program here at Verizon. Did you know that water is a limited natural resource? We want to make sure we're doing everything we can to conserve water. Today, we're going to discuss how we use water and what we can do to use it more efficiently and responsibly in an effort to conserve as much as we can. Throughout the presentation, we will also have a few water-related polls where you will be able to select items that you are personally incorporating into your daily routines and lifestyles to conserve and use water efficiently. It is an honor to now introduce our guest speaker, Veronica Bletti. I am now going to hand it off to Veronica to jump right into today's session. Please enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, Sony and John. I'm really pleased to be here on behalf of EPA's WaterSense program to talk to you about water and how you can use it more wisely in your daily business. So first, I wanted to give you some background on how we use water in the United States, talk a little bit about the WaterSense program, which is the program I manage here at EPA, and then go into some things that you could do at the corporate level at Verizon, in your office, and at home. And then, as Sony said, we'll have questions at the end of the session. So first of all, I wanted to give you a little background. The USGS, and I apologize to those of you who are overseas, this is focused on the United States, but every 5 years since 1950, the U.S. Geological Survey has done a report on the use of water in the United States. And this is information from a 2010 data that they have from a report that they released last November. So this just gives you a sense of how water is used in the United States. This is looking at withdrawals, and so you see that most of the sectors that use most of the water withdrawals are the thermoelectric power, so that's to get us our electricity, and then the agriculture industry, mostly for irrigation. So they use more than 50% of the water. I will say that for thermoelectric, some of that water is returned downstream, although sometimes it's of lesser quality than it was when it was taken out. When we look at public supplies, which are the supplies that each of us uses every day through our municipal water providers, those withdrawals are about 12%. So they're the next largest segment of water use. I'm going to dive down in the next slide a little deeper to talk about the trends over time. So when we look at the trends, the first thing, and there's a lot of information on this slide, but I'll ask you to focus first on the blue line. That's the total withdrawals for all the different sectors over time. So you look from 1950 to 2010, and you can see that the withdrawals were increasing pretty steeply between 1950 and about 1980, and then they've sort of decreased and leveled out a little bit. That initial increase was increasing with population, and population certainly has continued to increase over that time, more than doubling over that time period. But as you can see, our total withdrawals have leveled out, and that is because we try to become more efficient, especially in the thermoelectric industry and in agriculture, more efficient efficient and being able to produce more crop per drop in the agriculture industry. For the public water supplies, actually the withdrawals increased up until this last survey that was completed for the 2010 data. And so that's the first time that we've seen the public supplies begin to drop for withdrawals. When we look across the country and try and see how the withdrawals look by state, you can see that it's not terribly surprising that the largest withdrawals are in the states that have large populations. But one of the things I will point out to you is that those states that have high withdrawal levels are also states that we expect to have very large increases in population over the next 50 years when we look at census trend data. And there are also states where we've seen some pretty significant drought issues in the southeast, in Texas, and right now, of course, in California. So I think it kind of points out to us how important it will be going forward to try and use water as efficiently as possible. And of course, ensuring that reliable supply of water is a challenge for our water providers. These are graphs from the Drought Monitor. The Drought Monitor is administered by the National Ocean Atmospheric Administration. And if you go to drought.gov, you can pull up these maps every week to see how drought is looking in the country. And you can see that every year we pretty much have drought somewhere in the United States. Back in 2007, those of you in the southeast might remember that the Atlanta area was very close to being losing its water supply. In the 2011, we had the really intense drought in Texas, which lasted a number of years and resulted in huge economic losses in the state of Texas. In 2013, that drought had expanded up into the Midwest, which caused great hardship for many farmers in the Midwest. And then, of course, in the last 2 years, we've seen the really intense drought in the South, in California and the Southwest. California is heading into its fourth year of significant drought. The economic losses are going to be very considerable. The things that we need to be concerned about are that looking forward, there's a lot of uncertainty about how climate change is going to affect water availability in the country. Certainly in some areas of the country we might see more water from intense storms, but we also believe we will see increased drought, and primarily in those areas of the country where we already see extreme drought. So we can expect that the competition for supplies that we need to meet our public needs for our daily household and business needs, the agricultural sector to grow the food for our growing population, and the water needed for energy. It takes energy, it takes water to produce energy, and as we have an increasing population and more things to power, we're going to need more energy. So there's going to be a little bit of conflict there as well. Looking at this drought monitor, I would encourage you to look at it, and there is a seasonal outlook. So we do see that the seasonal outlook through June tells us that we can expect to see intensifying drought through much of the areas that we've seen in the Southwest and West. And then up in Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes is actually expected to see increased drought over the next 6 months. But just so you don't think this is just a U.S. problem, this is not just a U.S. problem. And in fact, there are many areas of the world where it's a much greater problem. They are facing very significant challenges. This is a map from a tool that the World Resources Institute developed called Aqueduct, and they provide maps that look at water scarcity from a perspective of quantity, quality, and regulatory and reputational risk. And so you can visit that website to learn more and dig down into areas of interest. But the bottom line, I think, is that everybody is going to need to be more thoughtful about water use as we try and meet the needs of a growing population in the face of climate uncertainty. Maybe sometimes you hear people say, well, all the water we have is all the water we are going to have. That is certainly true. And it might be in different forms. It might be in ice and oceans and rain and surface and groundwater. But it always isn't in the form and in the place that we need it. So there is a water cycle, and so water will come back, but it might not be coming back to where you need it when the rain falls. So now I'm going to turn it over to Soni. She's going to ask you a question for the first poll of the session.
Thanks, Veronica. So here's our first poll question, which is, what types of water conservation efforts do you incorporate into your daily life? So we have a couple different options. Some people, take shorter showers. Some people would do a full load of laundry as opposed to running a smaller load more often. A very, very common one is turning off the tap while brushing your teeth. and the last option is running a full dishwasher. So I'll give everyone a minute to respond. So it looks like we have most people so far do turn off the tap while brushing their teeth. I'm seeing that a lot of people are running their dishwasher on full, which is great. So these are all very easy methods that everyone can, do every day, just to incorporate within your routine, and very easy to practice with your kids, teach them to turn off the tap while they're brushing their teeth. Very, very simple methods that you can use every day. Great, thank you everyone. So I'm going to move back to the slideshow.
So those numbers were interesting to see, but it looks like there's also an opportunity to improve the numbers. I can see obviously taking shorter showers is not something that a lot of people want to think about, and hopefully we have something at WaterSense that can help you in that area. But one of the things I did want to touch on that's not in the slide is another reason why we want to be water efficient and why you probably want to be water efficient is that the costs are going up for water services in this country. We have a lot of aging infrastructure that needs to be replaced that was put in place in the 50s and 60s. It's getting to the end of its useful life. We've got the growing population, so we've got increasing regulatory requirements. Here at EPA, we do have regulations for water and sewer. So the costs of water are increasing, water and sewer, and when you look at across all the other utilities, water is still very inexpensive relative to maybe the cell phone bill. However, the rate of increase has far outstripped the consumer price index and the rate of increase for other utilities in the past 20 years, and we expect that that's really going to continue over time. So water's getting more expensive, so it's better to try and reduce your costs as much as possible by being more water efficient. So WaterSense is a program that can help you try and do that. It's a voluntary partnership and labeling program that we launched in 2006 in response to a lot of stakeholders who were telling us that they needed a program that was similar to Energy Star. Energy Star is hopefully a program that many of you are aware of that helps you save energy by buying more energy efficient products. So the vision that we have is that really we want everybody to understand how important it is to use water more efficiently and not only understand the importance, but actually take actions to reduce their water use wherever they are, in their homes, outdoors, and at work. And how we're trying to help you do that is we're transforming the marketplace for products and services that use water, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but also just by messaging like this webinar, trying to promote a nationwide ethic of water efficiency, both to protect our resources for our children and to reduce the cost of water and wastewater infrastructure. So our program, what's special about it, we think it's a pretty smart use of taxpayer dollars. We develop specifications for products, and we aim to try and save at least 20% of water compared to conventional models. So there are standards for plumbing products that are developed by the Department of Energy. Those were put in place in the 1990s, but we try and be at least 20% more efficient than those conventional models. We develop specifications. The manufacturers voluntarily decide that they want to go ahead and develop a product to meet that specification. We have third parties that go in and certify that the products meet those criteria. So it's backed by our credibility, and we think it's a smart use of taxpayer dollars. We're a very small program financially because we try and get everybody else to share in the cost. We have manufacturers who absorb a lot of the costs for research, testing, and we have these licensed certifying parties which certify the products. That is a business relationship between them and the manufacturers. And then we have this national network of partners to help us promote the program. They range from local governments, state governments, water utilities, nonprofit organizations, and trade associations. And there are more than 1,600 of them spread across the country in the U.S. So when you look at the products that we have available now in your stores, if you go and look for that label on the previous slide, I'll just show it to you one more time here so you see it. You would look for this label on the left. And when you go into the stores, your big box stores, maybe a Lowe's or a Home Depot, you can look for lavatory faucets, shower heads, tank-type toilets that will have that label on it, and that indicates that they meet our more stringent criteria. For commercial facilities, we've got flushing urinals, and we have pre-rinse spray valves that are used in commercial kitchens to pre-rinse dishes before they go into the dishwashers. For outdoors, we have irrigation controllers that are weather-based, so that they are able to use the weather to try and inform when your sprinklers should go on and off. We also have a new homes program, so we have WaterSense labeled new homes, and those are tested to make sure that they are water efficient both indoors and outdoors with landscape design that is water efficient, and if there's an irrigation system, that is put in correctly. A question that we get often is, well, what about dishwashers and clothes washers? And I will say that our sister program in the Energy Star program labels those products, and we work with them to make sure that they include water factors so that they, too, are as efficient as they can be. So you can find these products on store shelves now. We have more than 14,000 labeled product models that have met the label, and so it should be easy at every possible cost and style that you would like to see. You'll be able to find it. You can find a tank-type toilet for less than $100 or more than $5,000 if that's what you would like. Also, I will point out that many utilities and local governments will have rebates to help make these even more affordable. I know I've seen some articles where people have said they've paid as little as $5 for a toilet after getting a rebate from their utility. So you should always check to see if you have those sorts of incentives available to you. Looking more broadly, our focus in the program is not just on the products. We know that the products are important to focus on, but we also know that there are practices that people can do to reduce their water use. They might not even be aware of the behavior changes. And then partners, like as I said before, we have partners that we work with. And then we also try and work to improve professionals and get them to be more water efficient. And our first focus in that area is working with irrigation professionals to try and make sure that they're efficient. So we try and develop best management practices. We develop guides for homeowners. On the right, you can see a brochure that we've done on water smart landscapes. On the left, a brochure on what's called WaterSense at Work that talks about water efficiency in business, which I will talk about in a couple of minutes. If I had to say just one thing, I would just say be aware. You will be surprised what you notice when you start to pay attention. So the key is always to be on the lookout for those opportunities to save water. You can use those more efficient products. You can find and fix leaks. Often leaks are a huge use of water in homes. People don't even really realize it. And you can find them, and if you find them, you can fix them, and that will take care of that problem. And then just changing your behavior. I know we had showering was not a popular item for people to try and reduce their time in the shower, but sometimes you can reduce your time in the shower. It will save you water. It will save you utility bills and your energy as well because you're not having to heat as much hot water. But the products that we have, if you use those, you could probably stay in the shower just as long, but you'll also use less water because and still have a powerful shower. So as I said, the electric bill, something looking at that energy-water nexus is really important. There's a lot of opportunity for lowering your energy bill by reducing your hot water use. So first I want to talk a little bit about the commercial sector and how that is used, water is used in that sector. There's not a whole lot of good data on this looking large because many utilities are not consistent in how they code their commercial customers, but we have some information that does tell us about how water is used across the commercial and institutional sector. And I'll just highlight a couple of things here. The hospitality sector is a large water user, and that's why WaterSense is currently operating a hotel challenge with the hospitality industry. And then you can see offices are also a user of about 9% of water. When you look in some of those facility types and try and see how water is used within those facilities, you can see, I'll focus on the offices, that most of it goes for the domestic restroom use and then for the cooling and heating and landscaping where there's landscaping. So there's opportunities to save water in each of these areas through these more efficient products or practices. When I talk about to companies and I talk about what they can do, I really try and stress that it's not just one person, it's not just one part of the organization, it's really the whole organization. If you want to use water more efficiently, you have to kind of look across all levels of the company. The management really wants to kind of set the tone. They want to help set goals, prioritize actions, and give you the resources that you need to measure, manage, and track water use. It's no good if people are kind of coming up with plans, but they can never get the resources to take action. At the facility level, the people working in the facility are often the best people who know how water is being used and probably know how to use it more efficiently. So assessing your operations and helping them implement those efficiency measures is important. Looking at water use is not just about within the facility, however. You also want to think about your product choices. Explicit and embedded water use, looking up your supply chain. If you're getting products that are incorporated into other products, you want to make sure that where those are being manufactured, you're not going to suffer some sort of a water crisis there that's going to affect your ability to come up with the final product. And at the staff level, building awareness and promoting behavior change to use water efficiently, both internally and then also as you're engaging with customers outside of the company are important. But if all of these things can come together, then you can be effective in a water management strategy. I mentioned before WaterSense at Work, which is a document we put out in 2012. It's a pretty comprehensive 300-something page guide, but we have it online so it's easier to use. It has many sections in it that talk about different types of use within commercial and institutional facilities in these areas. And there are 36 best management practices which are included. We talk about an overview of the technology, provide some information on operation, maintenance, and how to user education, talk about retrofit and replacement options, and then provide some simple methods for calculating your return on investment and the payback you can see. Again, as I said before, energy is going to be important for many of these areas, such as cooling towers on the right. If you're going to save water, you're going to save energy on those and vice versa. We have case studies within the document itself, and we're also trying to add to those as we learn of good examples, and hopefully Verizon will be able to provide us with some good examples going forward. But really what we try and encourage facilities to do is to baseline their water use, figure out how much they're using, set their reduction targets, and then track progress. And our sister program, Energy Star, has a tool that can be helpful in this regard. Allows you to, the portfolio manager allows you to track your energy use, and it also has fields that allow you to track your water use. So if you're not aware of that and you're a facility manager, I encourage you to look into that tool. So as to what you can do, more not at the company level, but what can you do personally in your office, we'll talk about a few things you can do. First of all, I think it's always good to just ask questions. So ask your building manager, have we replaced fixtures to improve efficiency? If we have a gym in our facility, do we have water-efficient shower heads? Do we have water-efficient toilets? Could we put aerators on our faucets? If you walk by and you see that we're irrigating landscapes in the middle of the day, that's not the best time to irrigate because you're going to lose water to the heat and wind. So if they are irrigating landscapes in the middle of the day, could they maybe change that behavior? Are they using a controller to manage it? Are they making sure that all of the sprinkler heads are sprinkling the plants and not the pavement? Reporting those leaks and equipment malfunctions, like those sprinklers that are misdirected, are going to be important to report those to whomever takes that kind of information in your company. These things may look little, but they really add up into very big water losses. One thing I know gets me all the time when I'm in the commercial facilities is these phantom flushes of the toilets. When you have an electrical sensor that triggers the toilet flush, sometimes I know you can get in there and it will flush 3 or 4 times, which can drive you a little bit crazy. But it may just need an adjustment to the sensor. So bringing that to the attention of your facility manager, they might need to just make an adjustment so that it will flush once and done. The other thing is just be thoughtful. So if you're in the pantry washing dishes, turn off the water if you're not using it. If you've got air conditioning, maybe there's a chance to turn down the air conditioning. That will help to reduce the water use on the HVAC side. And then something I also try and encourage people to do, if you're in the United States especially, our tap water is really very safe. water utilities do a lot of work to try and make sure that it's safe for your use, and drinking tap water instead of bottled water can be less expensive for you, and it also saves resources because it takes a lot of water to actually generate a bottle of bottled water. So that's in the office. At home, when you get back home after the end of a long day, there are also things that you can do at home. And when we think about how we use water at home, approximately 70% of that is indoor use, 30% outdoor use. But as you might expect, that outdoor use will be higher in drier parts of the country where supplemental irrigation may be needed to help keep plants thriving. And during the summer, we can see that outdoor water use will often increase 2 to 4 times over winter use. Certainly, you can probably look at your bills and determine that this is happening to you when your water bill goes up quite a lot in the summertime. When you look on the right, this is from a report that was done in 1998 looking at residential end uses in homes, and there will be a new report coming out next year, but the final numbers are going to be slightly the same. One thing I'll point out to you is leaks. So remember before I said that leaks can add up, and you can see here that leaks make up about 14% of residential water use. So that's water that's going for no purpose. Toilets are the big users. Showers are a big user. Clothes washers are a big user, but they have gone down for the new survey that will be coming out because of the more efficient Energy Star washers that have entered the market in the last 15 years. So what can you do at home? As I said, and I'm harping on leaks because we just ended our Fix a Leak Week last week here at EPA and around the country. But those leaks can add up, so the average household could lose 10,000 gallons a year from leaks. And if you need kind of a visual to figure out how much water that is, that would be enough water to allow you to do 10 months of laundry. So at home, what you can do is to check for those leaks. The toilet is often the stealthy toilet that has the flush in the middle of the night when you're not in the bathroom. You can add a little food coloring to the tank. If it shows up in the bowl, that means you've got a leak. It might mean all you need to do is fix your flapper, replace your flapper, so you can do that. You can twist an aerator onto your faucet in your kitchen even. You can put it on your kitchen one if you want, but in the bathroom certainly you don't need a whole lot of water flow in the bathroom for most of the tasks at the sink. So twisting on an aerator will help you reduce water, but it will still give you a flow that is acceptable for use. If you find that you've got really old, some of the toilets can use 5 to 7 gallons. Some of those older toilets, 5 to 7 gallons per flush. The national standard is 1.6 gallons per flush. Our WaterSense toilets will give you 1.28 or less gallons per flush. So replacing those can be a good use of, can save you considerable amounts of water. And then there are those behavioral things that we can focus on, turning off the water while brushing or shaving. That was something that I think had a high percentage in the poll that Sony did earlier. Taking the shorter showers, we know that's not very popular, but certainly taking showers instead of baths does save water. And then when you're doing a load of laundry or you're doing a load of dishes in the dishwasher, only washing full loads will help you save a lot of water. So we're going to have another poll question brought up to see what kind of water efficient fixtures you might have installed. Sony?
Yep, thanks, Veronica. So our second question is which particular water efficient fixtures you might have installed in your home. So the options are your faucet or your sink, your toilet, your shower head, or all of the above. A quick fun fact that I have is that if every household in the United States installed WaterSense labeled bathroom sink faucets or faucet accessories, we could save more than $350 million in water utility bills and more than 60 billion gallons of water annually, which is enough to meet public water demand in a city the size of Miami for more than 150 days.
Is the poll open? Okay.
I'm not seeing the numbers jump.
I'm not seeing the numbers change. Sony, did you vote on the poll for Veronica?
No.
No.
So it will remain a secret to us.
Okay. It's okay. Looks like we might be having some technical difficulties, but one other option aside from these particular water-efficient fixtures that you may have installed in your homes is actually replacing the aerator in your older faucet with a more efficient one. Veronica mentioned aerators a few minutes ago. And if you do replace the aerator, this can ultimately determine the maximum flow rate of the faucet. And aerators are inexpensive to replace and are an effective water efficiency measure. So I'm going to turn it back to Veronica.
Okay. Yeah, as Sony said, aerators are very inexpensive. I think probably you can get one for less than a couple of dollars and just add that on to your faucet and get reduced flow. The other thing that's relatively inexpensive is a flapper, and I just thought I'd provide an example from my personal life of what a leak would look like. One day I went to work and I came home at night, and when I opened the door, I heard the sound of running water, and I thought that was odd because I had left that morning. And when I went upstairs, I discovered that my flapper, which was needed to be replaced, had stuck open while I was at work. And I thought, oh, well, that was not good. Here I am a water efficiency person, and I had water running down my toilet all day long. But I really didn't understand the impact until I got my bill the next month. And this is the daily water use in my house. And you can see I'm pretty much a very low water user. Oh, we popped into a... Anyway, I'm very much, very much a low water user. But in that one-day period when my flapper valve was stuck open and water was just going down the toilet all day long, 1,249 gallons went down into the sewer with no use. And my monthly bill actually jumped, $7 from the water that was wasted that day. So paying attention to your bill for changes in use, please look at that. A lot of water utilities now offer high user notification alert systems so that they will actually send you a text alert if they see that your water use is like increased significantly over what it typically is. So it's good to take advantage of those things so that you don't get surprised by your bill when it arrives the next month. I did go out right away and buy a new flapper and get that installed, so that problem has been solved. So looking for WaterSense products, we've already talked a little bit about that, but then also I just wanted to highlight as well the Energy Star products that are available. So let's see, certified products, yes, they help save water, energy, and money. Bathrooms are the largest use of water in the home, so if you go ahead and replace the fixtures in there with all WaterSense products, you could expect to save 10,000 gallons of water, $90 in utility bills, and also electricity. And like I said, the Energy Star clothes washers and dishwashers will also save you water and energy. So that's indoors. Looking outdoors. Outdoors is a little bit trickier. Outdoors is a lot about practices. We do have some products for outdoors, and we are developing some additional products for sprinklers, specifications for sprinklers. But really, it's about how you develop the landscape outdoors is going to dictate your water use. So it's very important to, before you go out and plant, is to really think about what you're doing. We would recommend looking for native and low water using plant types. If you're having to grade your lot, you want to avoid steep slopes because those steep slopes are going to have runoff. The water's going to hit the ground and then run off into the street. And consider a rain garden. You might be able to develop the landscape in such a way that you can have a rain garden. The goal is really to capture the water that falls onto the landscape and keep it on the landscape. Taking care of your soil can be really important to that. You don't want a really kind of compacted soil. You want to aerate that to make sure that it will help infiltrate water. And then mulching around trees, mulching around shrub beds will really do a good job at helping to reduce evaporation, and so that the water you do put on those shrubs and around the trees, it will stay within the landscape rather than just evaporating back into the air. The other thing that's really important is managing your grass before it manages you. I think if grass is green, it's great, it's lovely, but planting it strategically is probably a good idea. So you don't want to be looking for the before picture, which is just kind of a carpet of green. Probably the only time that person sets foot on any part of that yard is to mow it. And so maybe you would like to do something better than mowing every Saturday. But if you are going to mow, certainly raise your mower blade. Make sure that you're leaving the grass a little bit longer. It will be healthier. It won't dry out as much. So plant the turf grass where you need it. If you've got children, you want to plant it where they're going to play. If you have pets, you want to plant it where they're going to play. But maybe you don't need to have kind of the green carpet effect. If you are going to have turf grass, I encourage you, especially for those of you who are near rivers, oceans, is trying to minimize your fertilizers and chemicals as much as you can, just because that will help avoid water quality problems downstream. Other things you can do is know how to water, when to water. So know your plant's water needs. Don't overwater, especially with grasses. Sometimes it's okay for those grasses to go a little bit brown. It's actually not good to overwater grass. You want to kind of stress it a little bit because it helps the roots go deeper. If you water it too much, it will actually result in an unhealthier grass. You want to water in the early morning. You don't want to water in the middle of the afternoon because that's going to be when your evaporative losses are very high. You want to avoid watering in the wind because you don't want the water to just be captured and blown to the wind and not falling on the landscape. And then if you've in an area with storms, you might want to disconnect your downspout, use a rain barrel or a cistern, try and capture that water that comes in from storms so that you could use it instead of potable water that comes through your water system you have to pay for, or in case that you have a drought, you've got water available to you. If you do have an irrigation system, if you have to have an irrigation system, really always checking for leaks, making sure that you don't have any leaks in the system. If you've got a timer, making sure that you change the schedule with the seasons. So you might need to water a certain number of times a week in the summertime, but you probably don't need to do that same amount of watering in November. So usually it's a good time when the fall back, spring forward time changes happen to also remember to use that as a clue to make sure the irrigation timer is changed. If you don't have a rain shut-off switch, you might want to get one of those so that if it rains, you don't end up watering your landscape in the middle of a big rainstorm. Or consider a WaterSense smart irrigation controller, which will help use the weather to try and schedule your controller. Irrigation systems can be tricky, and some homeowners might not be up to it. So if you need help, you can also look for a professional who's been certified by a WaterSense labeled program. We have in the U.S. more than 4,000 people who have been certified by one of the programs that we label. And when we label those programs, it's because we know that they're training the professionals they certify to be to have really good knowledge about water efficiency and how to be more water efficient in the landscape and with the equipment. So, Sony, another poll question about water conservation efforts folks might have outdoors.
Thanks, Veronica. Right, so the last poll question is, what outdoor water conservation do you have in your home, in your landscape? The options we have are a rain barrel, a rain garden, programmed sprinklers, or all of the above. I think we're having some technical difficulties with this, with the poll, so I'm actually just going to move ahead and I'll explain what these options are in the next slide. Okay, so I'm sure the majority of our Green Team members know that we love to offer you all kinds of volunteer and educational opportunities when it comes to the environment. And we have a few water-related events scheduled, and they are right here. We have next month on April 15th, we are having a rain barrel demonstration in Basking Ridge. A rain barrel is a system that collects and stores rainwater from your roof that would otherwise be lost to runoff and diverted to storm drains and streams. At this demonstration, we are going to actually have an informational session about how they're installed, how to use them properly, the benefits of having a rain barrel, and along with that, we're also raffling off 2 rain barrels to those who attend the informational session. So that will be on April 15th in the Basking Ridge office. Then on April 18th, there is an event called the Water-Wise Trees and Shrubs Tour in West Jordan, Utah. And this is a unique garden tour where attendees can find out which trees and shrubs are best suited to Utah's climate. So if you are in the area, you can certainly attend. You can wear walking shoes and bring sun protection. It will be outdoors, and we will be sending out a note to green team members in the area so they'll have more information about the location and the timing of that particular event. And lastly, in May, we're going to be having a rain garden planting. A rain garden is a planted depression or a hole that allows rainwater runoff from impervious urban areas like roofs, driveways, walkways, parking lots, and compacted lawn areas to be absorbed back into the ground. And this reduces rain runoff by allowing stormwater to soak into the ground as opposed to just flowing into storm drains and surface waters, which causes erosion, water pollution, flooding, and ultimately diminishes groundwater. So we're actually going to plant a rain garden on the Basking Ridge campus, and we are offering the opportunity to green team members to come help us plant this rain garden. We are going to have all sorts of plants and shrubs that we're going to plant in that location to try and absorb as much rainwater back into the ground. So this is what we have scheduled coming up for the spring. Please let me know if there's anything going on in your community that you'd like to share with your colleagues and fellow green team members. It's always great to have as many events as possible, so I would love to hear if anything is going on in your area that we can share with other green team members. Okay, back to you, Veronica.
Thanks, Sony. That sound really great, and I will say that the West Jordan, Utah, that utility that operates that Water-Wise Garden is a WaterSense partner, and they have a really beautiful facility that we have highlighted in some of the pictures of water-efficient landscapes that we have on our website. So that should be a really great tour, and it's really cool to hear that you guys are going to be putting in a rain garden at your facility in New Jersey. Hopefully you can send me pictures of that as it grows. So participating in campaigns and participating in efforts like Sony just talked about are really great ways of getting involved in water. So we have a number of WaterSense campaigns that we operate in concert with our partners across the country, and I just wanted to make you aware of some of those. So if you hear about them in the future, you'll know kind of where they came from. The first is our Fix a Leak Week, which I mentioned. We just finished up last week. We had more than 60 events across the country, which were just a wide range, a number of races, and that was our Chasing Leaks theme. We had a number of running toilets that were being chased by runners around the country. And many of our partners took opportunities to provide demonstrations, to provide incentives, to provide audits of their customers to try and help them fix leaks. So that is always in the third week of March. And so although you just missed it, hopefully you heard about it in your own area, and if you didn't, you can look for it next year. If you're not in the U.S., I'd also recommend that you look for campaigns in your area, because last week was not only Fix a Leak Week here in the U.S., but it was also Canada Water Week. So up in Canada, they were celebrating just the great glory of water. And this week in the United Kingdom, it's Water Saving Week. So if you're in different countries, you might find that there are other campaigns centered around water that you can get involved with. Looking forward, we have a campaign in May called Sprinkler Spruce Up, which is really just encouraging people before they go out in most of the country. They'll start to fire up their irrigation systems for summer watering. We want to make sure that they check their systems first to make sure that it's all in working order so that they don't end up wasting a lot of water once they are watering a couple times a week. During the summertime, we have messaging that we do around saving water in your yard, trying to emphasize the simple things everybody can do, making sure that your grass is a little bit longer. That helps it stay healthier. Maybe taking a little break from your sprinkler. Most of the grasses that are out there now can survive, and actually some of them like to go dormant when it's very hot, and they'll come right back when the rains return in the fall. And then in October, as part of Energy Action Month, we have a campaign that's focused around showering really trying to emphasize that you don't have to have a sacrifice to shower better. You can use a water-sense-labeled shower head, and that's really going to give you the same satisfying shower you'd have from a non-labeled product. Because one of the things we do with our products, it's not just for efficiency. We actually have performance criteria to make sure that you will have adequate force and spray coverage in shower heads, flushing power in toilets. So we want to make sure that these products are not going to be bad products, because that sort of happened in the 1990s when the first water-efficient toilets were introduced, and we want to definitely make sure we don't create that same mistake over. So more things that you can do after this call. Hopefully you've learned something, and you can go back and tell the person who wasn't on the call some actions that they could take to save water. There's a lot of information on our WaterSense website that you can take advantage of. We have a Test Your Water Sense. We have tools that help you calculate your household water use. Like I said before, many utilities provide rebates for water-efficient products. If you are in California and being subjected to this big drought, there are a lot of opportunities to get rebates to replace fixtures and even to change your outdoor landscape by taking out turf grass and replacing it with more water-efficient landscaping. So certainly, if you are in California, take advantage of that. We have a pledge on our website. If you take the I'm for Water pledge, we'll add you to a mailing list for a quarterly newsletter that will give you more tips. And then we also have this resolutions checklist that will allow you to kind of track every month a couple of things that you might want to do. And that's with the website there at the bottom. You can go to that website and get that pledge document. Getting kids and friends engaged. Kids are really great at caring about the environment, and getting them engaged will help get everybody else engaged. We're really looking forward to seeing what happens in the future as the children who are raised now with a greater environmental ethic move into the workplace. And as you're doing these things, we have lots of tools. We have games for kids, and our WaterSense website also has lots of other water-saving tips that can help you improve your efficiency. So I think that is all I've got. We'll leave time for questions. There's some information here, some websites. I'd encourage you to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. If you have any questions, there's an email account there and a helpline that we have also. So thank you very much. We do have some additional things we're going to talk about, so I'm going to turn it back over to Sony and John at this time.
Thanks, Veronica. This concludes the presentation portion. I'd like to give a very special thank you to Veronica for sharing all this valuable information with us today. And at this point, we will take your questions. So, operator, can you please open the phone lines to questions?
Thank you. At this time, to ask a question, press *1. Please unmute your line and record your name to be introduced. Again, for questions or comments, press *1. If you'd like to withdraw the request at any time, you may press *2. Thank you. One moment, please, while the questions register.
Hey, Sony, one question that has come in that we could probably address while we're waiting for callers is the issue if you're a Verizon employee and you see a water issue or a leak or something in the facility, what's a process that we should use to address that issue?
Sure. You can actually go on eWeb and then submit a facility request by submitting a WOW request. So again, you just go on eWeb and then you can submit a facility request by submitting a WOW request.
Thank you, Sony. I did also get one question in regards to the deck for this presentation. So you can view the presentation in the link that was sent last night in the reminder note from the Verizon Green team. So it was sent yesterday evening on the 23rd March. So if you look on that reminder note, you'll see a link that says to see the presentation, click here. If you still can't see the presentation or have issues from there, you can send a note directly to verizon.green.team@verizon.com. Any questions on the line, operator?
Yes, and as a reminder for others, again, is *1 for questions. We have our first question from Barbara Mitchell. Your line is open.
Hi, thanks very much for the presentation. This was more of a comment and probably a request. I installed a rain barrel in my home last year, and I was really shocked. I got this one that was for like 80 gallons because I really liked the color, and as I was putting it in, I thought, oh, goodness, what have I done? I've got this huge rain barrel and a small townhouse, and I was absolutely astounded that it was full for almost all of the year. In fact, it froze over in the winter, so I use it for, my bird bath and my watering my plants, and a few times even some lawn water. So I was wondering if you mentioned you're going to have the rain barrel demonstration in Baskin Ridge, but maybe if you could send out, I'd like to know how to be more efficient and what else other ideas for using it. So will you be able to sort of spread the word on rain barrels, or any way you can communicate that information out to the rest of us in the hinterlands?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that request. We are actually, the rain barrel demonstration that we're having next month is going to be our very first one, and that's why we're kind of piloting it in Basking Ridge. I have confidence that it's going to be very successful, and our Green Team members and employees are going to be really interested and, see a lot of benefits from having a rain barrel in their yard or in their home, just like you did. Our ultimate goal is to spread the knowledge of the benefits of rain barrels. And yes, the answer to your question is that we definitely have plans to have a same type of event in as many locations as possible. So please do keep your, eyes out for any notes and events, because we will certainly share with you once we do actually plan events in other locations. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will say that's it's good that you noticed how much water does come off the roof. I think sometimes people are not aware of how much water really can come off a roof. And I could probably find out and provide that to Sony, but there are some people who have developed calculators that will help you based on your roof area, calculate kind of how much water you might be expected to get based on a certain rainstorm volume. So if you get an inch of rain on a 2,000 square foot roof, how much water would you be expected to collect in a rain barrel?
All right, thank you. Next question is Hadi Ahmed. Your line is open.
Thank you. I apologize for my voice here because I'm under the weather here. Excellent presentation. And just recently joined the Green Team representing Tammy Ragsdale. What I wanted to find out is if I were to request a time slot on Tammy's all-hands call, how can I effectively present or provide this details within a few minutes of time? And if at all possible, will somebody be able to accompany me in doing so?
This is Sony. Yes, can you please, would you be able to send me an email and we can sort of organize something offline?
Sure. Sony, what's your last name?
Sure, it's Bandutia. Actually, can I, would you be able to submit the question on the application and then I'll have your name and I can reach out to you?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And currently we're showing no questions. As a reminder, for questions or comments, press star one, please.
I can mention one comment that I did hear here that was mentioned for Hillsborough County in Florida. They have a opportunity, and that's the Temple Terrace and Tampa, Florida area, where they have a opportunity that offers free rain barrel workshops several times a year, or you can attend and get a free rain barrel. And Mary McDarby mentioned that she's attended a workshop twice. You can only get one free rain barrel per address, but it's a good kind of an FYI. So thanks for sharing that, Mary.
Thank you. We do have our next question. Kevin Carter, your line is open.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. I am a president of the Homeowners Association here in Wesley Chapel, Florida, and I was just curious of the WaterSense program, and I'll check your website. if the WaterSense program is available to homeowners associations as well.
Yeah, we have not had very many homeowners associations sign up, but I think that we could accommodate them. I know that it's often a challenge for people who live with a homeowners association because sometimes they have different thoughts about how the landscape should look. It's particularly an issue in California. But yeah, please look at it and email our helpline if you have any questions about it, because I think we'd be happy to try and get them signed up as a partner.
That would be great, because the water sewer expense in our particular HOA is the highest expense we have on a per-month basis, and I'm trying all that we can do to educate both our homeowners and our residents, especially when it comes to toilet leaks and our irrigation system, because we do use reclaimed water through the county utility.
Sure. Well, look at our website, and like I said, you can always email that email address, which I don't know, I guess it's in the slide deck. If you email that account, it will, you can just put it to my attention, and I'll make sure that I take care of it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, Bridget Anthony. Your line is open.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Bridget Anthony. I'm in Newark, New Jersey, and I'm also the Pioneer Environmental Chairperson. And I did join the call a little late because I was out to lunch, but I wanted to know, is there a way that I can get maybe a recap of what was discussed during this call? Because I would like to hear it.
Hi, Bridget. Yes, there's actually going to, this call is being recorded, so there'll be a link that's sent out in the VZ Green Insider. They'll go out either later this week or early next week, and it will have a link to the presentation.
Okay, great.
You can listen to the whole thing and see the webinar again as well.
Yeah, I do apologize for that, but we're on a schedule, you know.
Please understand. Bridget, I'm sorry, what was your last name again?
Bridget Anthony.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Bridget.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Next question is DeWynn. Your line is open.
Hi, actually, I think you just answered my question. I was trying to get some information about water conservation and native plants in my area. I'm new to the Northwest up in Washington, and I'm trying to ensure I get the right native plants for my new home. So I think you answered it. I think it's on your website, how to find someone.
Yeah, we do have some landscaping tips, and we've got by state, we have some recommendations, and then some national sites that will talk about native plants, and so you can consult those. Another good place, if you've got questions about plants often, is county extensions. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has county extensions, and often those extension services have information like that, and also your local Master Gardener chapters can be helpful.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And currently we're showing no further questions.
No problem. One more quick question that came online is, where can I get a rain barrel?
Sure. So I can try and answer that. It's really going to be kind of your local area, and I'm not sure where Latita is, but I would check with your local water utility, water and sewer utilities, and see if they might have programs. Oftentimes other types of watershed programs that are trying to minimize runoff that affects surface waters and groundwater, trying to minimize pollution, will also offer rain barrel programs. So you might want to check around and see if they've got programs. Sometimes they'll offer them either for free or at a discount. Otherwise, I think you can look at, I think Home Depot and Lowe's probably offer them now for sale. So I would just look around, probably just Google rain barrel in your local area to find something.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're coming up on the end of the session here. If you have additional questions, and there might be a couple online, and then if you do have additional questions you'd like to ask, please feel free to send them either to me directly at john.dorn@verizon.com or to verizon.green.team@verizon.com, and you can make sure to get the questions answered for you. So again, please feel free to send those over, and we'll get those addressed for you. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and just, in closing, mention real quickly, this weekend's a big event. We have Earth Hour on Saturday, March 28th, and it happens at 8:30 p.m. local time. And just want to note we just surpassed 4,300 participants, which is great. We're trying to beat our goal last year, which was actually a total of 5,200 people. So if you haven't signed up already, please do so, and it's pretty easy to do. So just send an email either to verizon.green.team@verizon.com, and we can respond to that again, or you can even send it to me directly at john.dorn@verizon.com. When you do sign up, Verizon will honor your pledge by planting a tree, helping an endangered animal, or giving out a free energy saving kit. It's your choice. So that wraps the call for today. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining, and look forward to talking to everybody next time, and hope everybody has a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you for your participation. That does conclude today's conference. You may disconnect at this time.